Training troop. Attention! 3 paces, step back, march!
As he leads cadets through their weekly training session at the British Columbia Dragoons headquarters in Kelowna, Master Corporal Patt draws on a vast knowledge that far exceeds his years. The 23-year-old joined the military while still in high school, and following graduation, spent time at CFB Suffield in Alberta and CFB Gagetown in New Brunswick. In 2010, the BC native returned to his home province for the Winter Olympics before heading out for one of the biggest challenges of his life.
I spent time on Operation Podium, which was the security for the Vancouver 2010 Olympics. So I was posted to Cypress Mountain with Foxtrot Company. After that, actually, within a couple of months, I accepted a position in Afghanistan for 5 months.
Patt was sent to Kandahar Airfield and worked in a support role at Headquarters Regional Command South.
It was a main support role to make sure that the headquarters could run fluidly, right? So that the officers who are dealing with the bigger picture of the combat situation, we could make sure that the smaller stuff that they would have had to worry about otherwise wouldn't have to be worried about.
Although he spent all of his time inside the wire on the base, the risks associated with war were a constant threat.
The first rocket attack was definitely interesting, hearing the alarms go off, and it wasn't anywhere near us, but it was a new experience, something I'd never been part of before. I was 19 years old, and wow, here I am, and people are shooting at us. Having to stay in the room, and it was definitely not unsafe, but definitely new for me.
With intense training through the Canadian military prior to leaving for Afghanistan and a strong mental outlook, life on the base was made easier. For those back home, it proved to be more difficult.
I was on the phone with my mother, actually, and a rocket alarm went off. And this is, okay, Mom, I gotta go, and I don't want to worry her, right? So I'm not going to tell her what's up. But it was definitely harder on my family, but me being there, it was a little bit different. I don't know whether it was the training I had or whether it was just being used to the Army lifestyle or knowing that that was what was going to happen that made it a little bit easier for us.
During his 5-month deployment, Patt worked with soldiers from around the world on a base that was home to over 25,000 military personnel.
It's absolutely huge. It's got the full airstrip in it. We've got fairly good amenities. There's kitchens to eat at. There was a couple of restaurants that we could, if you had time off, you could relax. And of course there was Tim Hortons, which was always good to have. I guess it's probably the best way to explain it is everybody's just working for the most part. I mean, you get some time off, but for the most part, life in Canada revolves around the work that you do, whether it's 8 hours a day or 12 hours a day or whatever you're doing.
Returning from service in Kandahar and transitioning back to Canadian life was a smooth process that offered only a few minor speed bumps.
It was a little weird walking around without a pistol for the first week or so, constantly, why is something missing off my leg? And I went and visited my dad in Crofton, and around 8 o'clock in the morning I woke up to a siren. It sounded exactly like a rocket alarm in CAF, and I was like in a dark room, where am I, what am I doing here? And it was just the volunteer fire alarm, but you know, other than that, I haven't had any issues personally coming back.
Now in his 3rd year as a political science major at UBC Okanagan, Pat's goal is to join the regular forces with the Canadian military.
Ideally, once I'm done school, I'd like to join the regular force. So I would assume that more tours are in the future, in the cards for me.
Reporting from Kelowna, I'm Brendan Osborne.